We are live, we are direct on the Leaders Who Scale podcast with Shelley Smith, author of Firstly, Restoring Organizational Flow When Relationship Culture Runs Dry in the Workplace. Official member of the Forbes Council, Shelley is a business-minded facilitator who takes organizations forward. Her mission is to help leaders create and align their culture through thoughtful, strategic, and genuine growth. Welcome to the Leaders Who Scale podcast, Shelley Smith. Let's go.
Okay. Now that is an energetic introduction.
That's it. It's only right. It's only right that you get this. Tell us, who do you serve? We know you work in leadership. Who's an ideal client that you would say, Jay, that client, they're like 2 to 10 members. They're in California, not New York.
I'm not New York. What are you talking about, Jay?
No, example, but no, yeah, tell me. Yeah.
So, well, first of all, let me level set that I'll work with anybody who is 2 or more, because anytime there's 2 people together, a dynamic is happening.
Amazing.
It's happening. And so then that, gets inside of the space and the passion that I have. But ideally, my zone of genius, I love to work with companies and leaders that I can go deeper and wider with and have a longer term partnership and relationship with. Many of my clients have multiple locations. I've got several all over the world. Most of my clients are on the Eastern Seaboard, but I certainly have clients in California and lots in Texas and more. The size, usually there's a corporate office, again, multiple locations. The corporate office is anywhere from 50 people to 500 people.
Oh, wow.
I've got organizations, that are 14,000 people. So again, it really comes down to, I want to work with leaders, boards, companies who understand that culture isn't a nice to have. A culture is what you have, and it's about doing it intentionally, guarding it, leading, developing, mentoring, guiding the people that are working for you and the people that you're serving, your service, your product, your thing. Because when all that comes together, the magic that happens, everybody wins. And that's my mission in life. That's my gift, and I want to share it.
Oh, wow. Well put there. Love that. Tell us what a typical day looks like for Shelley.
Typical day. Well, I don't have a typical day. I'll say that a day might be in front of a group of leaders, training and development. Today happens to be a day of variety. So I'm executive coaching a few people virtually. I've got a networking this afternoon. I have the pleasure of doing this podcast. I've got a couple of projects that I'm working on. So I'm actually working on a PowerPoint administratively, sending out agendas and getting the team ready for supplies and delivery. So lots of variety inside of that.
Okay. And in terms of the industry, what's some of the trends that we need to look out for?
This time of the year, one of my favorite posts to do is the forecast of trends. So we're coming into that. So I've been doing some thinking about this before I write the article. A couple of things. More of meeting people where they are. I believe 2026 is going to be a continuation of all things figuring out the hybrid work. I think obviously it has to be a continuation of adoption of all things AI, automation, and artificial intelligence, and balancing that. But specifically, aside from what everybody probably already knows, which are those 2 items, I believe there's going to be this calling of personalization of packages when we're hired in. I think it's going to be individuals that may work for 2 to 3 to 4 companies, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, to get their 40 to 50 hours a week in, multiple companies, and their packages to come on is going to be different. I think the compensation of the salary and the benefits, you're going to pick and choose what they are, of what the total is. So, for example, if your total comp is $50,000 or $100,000 or $30,000 or $60,000, it's going to include what it is that you want, and companies are going to need to get creative in meeting people where they are. Long gone are the employer is at the forefront. It's the employee who is at the forefront, and the two need to really get together because our workforce is shrinking purely by the numbers, not to mention just by the market, the economy, and the world today. There are fewer people who are alive that are going in the workforce, more that are going out before you even add in all the other economic pieces that are coming in. So with fewer people, and we know that's never going to return, we've got to meet people better where they are. And so that's going to be the 2026 trend and beyond, is how quickly employers get on board with that creative compensation package. And so there you go.
Oh, wow. So the creativity there, you mentioned, I used to teach in high school, teach economics, and we talked about PESTLE, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors that, have their place on organizations and things like that. So, well stated out there, Shelley. I appreciate the way you laid that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. My next question, here's a clue. What could my question be on? I am.
What you just? Well, you're drinking coffee. What's your morning routine?
I am thirsty.
I didn't even get the clue.
There you go. There you go. I'm trying to make things interactive here. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Thirsty.
Yeah, thirsty. Tell us about why you wrote it and the direction that you. Yeah.
So, every time I've written a book, this is my 6th book. I've got lots of ebooks. I always say I'm never going to write another book.
Wow.
And then something happens that it just starts to tug at me. And this is an example of that. There was a series of things that happened last year. And it was actually in a conversation with a colleague, and we were talking about a mutual client. And we were talking about this and that, and the conversation turned into either, I think she may have said the word thirsty, and it triggered me. And I was, wait, what? And I immediately started writing down what the chapters would be, what's the conversation going to be. It really resonated with me and where the world is today. And so I wrote some drafted chapters. I put them out to some of my clients, and it was so funny because they were all trying to figure out, was that story me? I know you're talking about me. And I'm like, wait, it's not about figuring out what I'm saying. It's about, the learning, the teaching, the lessons in life. So what I ended up doing was scrapping what I had written, and I rewrote it into 3 sections because I just couldn't let go of how I started. So the first part of Thirsty is a fable. It's about a maritime company who's been up in the DC Bethesda market for 100+ years, multi-generational, and they're struggling. So there's a fable around all things thirsty in the workforce.
Wow.
I talk about the integrations, the framework of how people think, how they're engaged, how they're disengaged, and the whole thing is framed through the hydrating moments and the dehydrating moments, and all the signs and the signals that we see every single day that we're not paying attention to before we become dehydrated and thirsty. So hence the theme of the book. In the middle of the section of the book, part 2 is more textbooky. Think higher education. So lots of stats, lots of mini stories to start to talk through the different hydrating and dehydrating frames. And then the 3rd section of the book is the blueprint. It's the playbook. If you feel like you can read it, take it, and implement it inside of your organization, I'm all about it. I've given you the recipe of success of what to do, how to do, and the order in which to do it. If you need some help, that's when you call me and my team into play. But that's how the book is laid out. That's how it started. I've always liked storytelling and using different analogies, and I've talked about leaks inside of companies before, and so now that leak has turned into the thirsty, the hydration. I talk about signs and signals in the fable that leaders just ignore before all of a sudden turnover has skyrocketed, sales have plummeted, profits have plummeted. That's when the board starts to see it and the CEO starts to see it. They missed all the signs, and that's what I mean by. And I think the world on a deeper, I think the world is thirsty and dehydrated right now on a multitude of levels. And I could really go off into a tangent on that, but this, I'll stay focused on workplace culture.
Oh, brilliant. Workplace culture. First, I think it hits deep as a title because it's almost as though, look, this is not a nice to have.
Correct.
This is essential. You know, you need to do this to stay alive.
Yes, and we can fix it with the right things. I wanted to get off of the toxic cultures became so synonymous in the press for, you know, big companies making mistakes, and people talk about working in toxic cultures. And toxic almost feels like it's beyond repair. I think everything has a level where we can rehydrate it, and that's another reason why I wanted to grab and to shift people. And because often people don't want to talk about a toxic culture, but they'll talk about a dehydrated one because it's a different mindset. Oh, I can rehydrate that. Toxic is almost the chemicals have eaten it up and it's beyond repair. And I think everything can be repaired.
Oh wow. I love the Carol Dweck in you, that growth mindset in you saying, look, everything is repairable. Yeah. That in Mandarin, like there's no word for problem, it's opportunity. I see that in you, Shelley.
Thank you. That's my intent.
Amazing. You mentioned your team. What does that look like? Who is it? A team of coaches or remote team? What does that look like in terms of your team, and how do you create a culture amongst your team?
Pull them in. So the culture itself was predicated on my own personal core values of the integrity, the transparency, the honesty, that growth mindset. And then I looked for people who have the same value base. I think, part of the bigger, broader is when we hire to be hiring, and we're not intentionally hiring people who fit into, because I think we all have a place to fit. It's a matter of where do we fit. So I think that's important for that alignment as, around my team and culture. So I have done a few things over the years. When I first started, I had the typical, brick and mortar, hired people on. I learned really quick through some bumps and bruises that you don't have to have everybody on your team, and you don't have to have, and what I was doing at the time was more so executive coaching and peer board review. I would always go to people. Nobody ever came to me. I went to them. So from a financial standpoint, I was like, I don't need brick and mortar. And I also don't have to have this huge team. I need to have the right people to plug and pay at the right time. So right now, technically on payroll in any given time is a staff of 10 and under. However, from a W-2 standpoint, but from a 1099 standpoint, I've got an array of people from the marketing zone of genius into the additional coaches, into design components for adult learning. So I plug and play people in as I need it, and they can stay in their zone of genius. And again, it's a win for them, it's a win for me, it's a win for the client. So now I have an array of people that I have vetted through the same filters of they've got to have the same set of values in order to show up through the brand. So I just think that is important. I can't talk about protecting your guardrails of your mission, vision, and values and not do it myself, right?
Wow. Sounds exciting in terms of what you've built. What's working well with your team right now? What's working well in your business?
For me, it was I'm a control freak, so I had to learn to let go. So as I have team members come in who really push me into what the possibilities are, and to turn it into something greater than just the me, but to have it live on, if you will. I've had to let go and to put more systems and processes, get things out of my head. So what we've been working on for the last 2 years is systemization of processes. And then, of course, now automation and all things AI. So we've got some exciting things that are coming up on the AI front. It's Shelley's brain, if you will, that will allow us to provide other services in a different way. So that's what we've been working on, as well as the launch of the book. So we did a lot of pre-launch, and now that the book is out there, and so that's what we've been working on.
Brilliant. I see you in 12 months' time. I bump into you in La Jolla in San Diego. I bump into you and you say, Jay, look, I remember that podcast 12 months ago, and what I said would happen 12 months ago came true.
Love that.
What would you have said to me?
I would have said that I now have more deliberate, dedicated team members instead of 1099ers.
Wow.
I was able to help more people grow their culture with consistency, as well as more consultants grow things that they're passionate about. I would say that I no longer have to be in the day-to-day operations of the business. Now I get to help strategize more, big picture more, keynote more.
Wow.
And I've built a legacy that I'm proud of. That's what I would love to be able to say.
Wow. It seems like there's another book in you. Like I can sense that.
I don't think so.
I can sense something. There's something.
Maybe it'd be part two. Maybe be where the thirsty is now.
Master,
Yeah.
could we do hungry as well? Hungry?
There we go. Why not?
No?
We can throw another analogy in there.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Tell me, what is a challenge that you and your team are facing? Where's the challenge right now?
It goes back to all things AI, and I think that's probably a common challenge for everybody. I've always been an early adopter, and I've got my number two is definitely an early adopter in this, and pushing me to make sure that we are early adopters and we're creating what the new is. But that brings a challenge of and it's moving so fast. I mean, on the daily, moving so fast. So even the things that we're building out behind the scenes, I worry that what we built today isn't going to be able to sustain tomorrow because of the ever-changing. The other challenge is forecasting the unknown, and I think we're all there right now.
100%.
From every single angle of our life. I mean, it's just, whoo, every day you wake up and it's like, what's today? And that's a challenge to keep people calm, focused, deliberate, and to figure out how do we stay here, stay relevant, stay happy.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the technology, there is that unknown factor. You mentioned AI. Where do you ideally want to apply it to? Is it operations, marketing? Like, what is the priority for the organization?
Anything that I'll oversimplify it into task orientation, data entry, trying to get data to do analytics on it, things that are more tactical functionality, I think should be done more through automation and or artificial intelligence, because it's not about putting numbers in a spreadsheet. It's being able to interpret what are they telling me and to understand what do I do with it. It's not about creating the customer marketing, either internal or external survey. It's about what is the survey telling us and coming into the boardroom to have a conversation to figure out now what's next. So I want people to use it. I'm going to oversimplify it into, think of it as your personal office assistant, from the writing to the researching, creating dashboards for you to have better conversations. The other thing that you'll see in all of my writings, and you do now, is the human relationship, the connection. My very first book was all about the connections, and I still believe that today. The only thing that's different between you and I and everyone else is the relationship. And if you don't have relationship management in this world, why are we even here, right? I mean,
Wow.
like, what's even, the purpose? And anything automated and or artificial intelligence, I just choose to believe, is not going to replace us as humans and our hearts as humans. So we've got to be able to get rid of the tactical side so we can have the connection side. And that's going to be the differentiation in companies. It's not that, listen, there's many articles out there that, the IQ, everybody can have an IQ of 1400 because of all things AI. But can you have a conversation of what it's telling you is going to be the differentiation? So, yeah.
No. I completely concur in terms of with the increase in exposure, demand for automation, there's an even bigger increase for this.
Yes.
Face-to-face conversations. Let's have a workshop. Let's meet face-to-face. Let's have a mini mind. Let's play a game of soccer or basketball or golf. Let's get the human side of things, because there's a lot more barriers to those things now because there's so many distractions.
Yep.
And things like this, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A CEO is in trouble, like hair falling out, saying, "Hey, look, I think I've lost the culture here. Like employee engagement's down and things like this." What's your 3-step process to maybe turning things around there, Shelley?
It's my ACC model. You've got to analyze it, and we can go into deeper in that if you want to. But first is analyze it, whatever it is you're trying to analyze, and then you begin to create whatever you want out of that, and then you curate it. So analyze, create it, curate it. And it can be, I say, as simple as interviewing, having one-on-ones for, the outside person, for the CEO to go, hey, what's going on here? If the CEO says, I've lost it, what is it that you've lost? What is it you're trying to find? Like, what is it that you think it's supposed to be? What is it your team is asking for? What are your clients asking for? When's the last time you actually had the conversation to ask them the questions I'm having you? And if they don't know that, then we got to go find that out. And then once we find that out, what's the data saying? What are the conversations saying? And then you create what it is that you want to be. Where is it that we're trying to go that we're not here, point A to point B? And then from there, you take the steps to cultivate it along the way. Take a few steps, take the look back and go, is it working? Are we in the right direction? Okay, great. Take a few more. Okay, wait, we need to pivot. Okay, we need to pivot a little bit. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. And so that's what I mean by that.
No, that makes complete sense. And I think it's the thinking. It's not burying their head under the sand, but really sort of kind of analyzing the situation, right?
Yeah, or make assumptions.
Yeah.
It's like when a survey comes out and they say, your team says, we need to communicate better, and we assume what they mean by communicate better. You can't assume. You got to go ask what would better be around communication. We're doing this, what else should we be doing instead? If you don't ask that question, you assume, and we all know what assume means.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for sharing. Let the audience know who you want to connect with and how they can connect with you. Let them know that.
Perfect. If anything that I've said today is resonating with you, you're like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that. Yes, I want to know more. I mean, that is a reason to connect with me. I pretty much will talk to anybody and everybody at any given time. If you're passionate about leadership and human connections and culture, Shelley at premierrapport.com. I can be found. You can go on my website, premierrapport.com. You can see all my socials. I'm super active on LinkedIn. As well as lots of YouTube free resources as well.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. I really have enjoyed the human connection. Normally I say I've got lots of food for thought, but I've got lots of minerals. I'm no longer thirsty because I got my minerals, so to speak. So, God bless you. Thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy woman, and look, the issues with AWS, we had to fight through them. We showed persistence today.
We did. Thank you so much for your time and your energy as well.
No, definitely. I appreciate you. Thank you, Shelley. And I look forward to the next part 2 of Thirsty.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah,
thank you.
amazing.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Cool. Brilliant.